FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It is 7/16/19, the midpoint of the month, and the fun is just getting started. Shooting off to Freedom Fest tonight in Las Vegas, the 11th. I take it back. It's the 13th annual Freedom Fest, and looks like it's going to be a great show. We'll be seeing a lot of people there and reporting back to you. Any request, people you want me to talk to there, just send me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. Well, gold has broken out. The person you're about to hear from, sent out an alert last month in June, mid-June, advising that it was imminent. I'm talking about none other than Gerald Celente, trendsjournal.com. Hey, Gerald, it's always a pleasure to have you on. So what changed with gold?
What changed with gold was on June 6th, we sent out a trend alert to our subscribers of the Trends Journal, and it said the gold bull run. And then the cover story of the new Trends Journal just came out this week is also the gold bull run. What changed is the very clear picture that there's a global slowdown, and they're going to do everything they can to keep pumping more monetary methadone into keeping the bull running. End of story. So it began, of course, with this January, with Jerome Powell, our Fed chair, who announced on January 4th that they were going to be patient in raising interest rates. So when you go back to December of 2018, just a month before, the Dow had its worst year since the Great Depression.
Right.
So they were going to aggressively raise interest rates in 2019. They did a backtrack on it.
Mm-hmm.
So with the United States lowering interest rates and many other nations around the world also lowering them, and a lot of them in negative territory already, everybody's playing the game now to keep pumping the markets up. So why would I buy a 10-year German bond and I get less money back in 10 years with a negative bond yield?
Makes no sense.
No. So that's why people are buying gold. There's no investment opportunities outside the markets, which are being manipulated because they're going to keep throwing more and more cheap money into the system. So, if you're going to play the stock markets, they're going to keep trying to boost that up with stock buybacks, which are already skyrocketing up this year, maybe break last year's record of almost $1 trillion in stock buybacks. So other than that market, where do you put your money? There's no such thing as a savings account anymore.
Yeah.
Again, you're seeing bond yields going negative, So that's what's driving gold up.
Makes complete sense. Really does. And silver, it looks like it's starting to pick up a little bit. I mean, we got a gold to silver ratio of 93 it hit. Now today, silver is up around, got 2%, nearly 30 cents the ounce. So it's only logical that silver is going to follow gold at some point, correct?
It usually does, but the weakness of silver is that it's also used for industrial use as well. And if there's a major slowdown, that's going to pull it down somewhat. But nonetheless, throughout history, recent history in the last 50 years, it's I shouldn't say 50, back to the the late 1970s. It pretty much mirrored where gold is going, and it's going to keep doing that.
Right. What about platinum? I don't know if you follow it much, but it's been in the dumps for years now. It's been selling for less than gold, and it's far scarcer than gold. We have any, I don't know if you follow it or not, any expectations for it?
Well, I remember when it was higher than gold at one time, and I believe, wasn't it, a number of years ago?
Yeah, that's been the normal state of affairs. It's sell for 20% more than gold give or take.
They'll probably all the precious metals be doing much better as the fiat currencies get much worse. And that's, by the way, why you're seeing people going into these cryptocurrencies. They can't afford to go into a lot of them, things they don't want to go into silver. And so they buy cryptocurrencies because there's great uncertainty about where the future is heading. And there again, it's a global slowdown. All the data is there to prove it. You just saw the data coming out. China's GDP was its worst, since 1990.
27 years. Yep.
Yeah.
Correct. So
1992, what was it? 1992, I think, right?
Yeah, 92. Exactly.
Yeah. So you're looking at a global slowdown, and the Chinese are doing everything they can to pump the markets up. But I want to make this clear, too. Even though their GDP is down to 6.2%, you don't see that kind of GDP growth in many countries.
Yeah.
And they got to keep this thing going. And they're not going to be able to. So China's going to keep expanding and buying up and building up more of the world where they could go into to expand their market presence and build their economy. Because there's only so much you could do nationally. And then that's why their bridge and road initiative is something that people should look at closely because it has a lot of implications.
Certainly does. Certainly does. If in fact it's successful, it's kind of an effort at world colonization, which they've been doing for quite a while successfully. As long as the world puts up with it, I guess it's going to continue on.
Well, again, the business of China is business, and the business of America is war.
Yeah.
They spend their money doing business. We spend their money. We're wasting our money with F-35s that are a piece of crap that anybody reads about. Tens of trillions of dollars lost that they can't find in the Pentagon over the years. And now we just got another budget, $733 billion defense budget. And then when you put in the intelligence, which is an oxymoron when you look at the morons running it, of Homeland Security and CIA and NSA and the FUC, and all those agencies that spy on us, you're looking at over $1 trillion a year in defense-related expenditures. So what China's doing is they're putting their money into building their economy. And again, with the economy slowing down, they're going to do everything they can to speed it up. And they don't have to now worry much about, as they were before back in 2015, about their currency, the yuan, declining rapidly because the United States is lowering interest rates. So the United States is setting the pace on lowering interest rates because the rest of the world has to follow.
Yeah. And the U.S. was kind of the holdout. For the past year, they were raising rates and the rest of the world appeared to be cutting rates pretty aggressively. So I guess that's all been stood on its head now. We going to see the dollar decline, do you think, this year, Gerald? Or is it
it's iffy because the other ones are so weak.
Right.
I mean, they're putting in a new head of the International Mafia Federation that morons and imbeciles call the IMF,
right?
International Monetary Fund. And this guy's talking already about more stimulus and what they have to do, and
that's crack, economic crack.
That's what I call it, monetary methadone. Just keep the bull running.
Yeah.
And now you got Christine Lagarde, the former head of the IMF, going into the ECB to take over from Draghi.
Yeah. How did she come back into the scene?
Guy.
Yeah. How did she get back in?
They're going to keep dumping more money in.
Yeah, it's obvious.
And so they're weakening the euro. You're looking at the yuan is going to go down as they lowered reserve ratio requirements for the banks. So you can loan money out basically without having any money backing you.
Yeah.
And so then you look at the yen even. They're going negative. They're in negative interest rates, and they're going to be doing more quantitative easing. Correct. So what's the challenge to the dollar? The dollar is still the greatest reserve currency, even though the Chinese and the Russians are doing deals and others by using their own currencies. It's a fraction compared to what's traded on the Forex and the exchanges each day.
Hey, I wanted to get your take on Deutsche Bank. We have a lot of vulgar nicknames for that bank. We could just come up with them all day long. But it seems to be tottering. There is no government that's going to allow this thing to just collapse, is there?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Financial Survival Network is brought to you today by Oren Resources, a junior exploration company with the appetite of a major. It's hot on the trail of the next globally significant discovery, creating enormous potential upside for you, the shareholder. Oren is one of the most aggressive exploration companies pursuing high-grade, scalable gold and copper deposits, and has a premier 7-project portfolio, including its 2 flagships, Committee Bay in the Arctic and Sombrero in Peru. Oren's unparalleled technical team and highly experienced management has a history of success in advancing and monetizing exploration assets. No wonder Oren's been called one of the best in the junior exploration sector. Oren trades on the TSX and the NYSE under AUG. To learn more, go to orenresources.com. That's AURYN resources.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
That's what I would say as well. There's no government that will allow a collapse. You know, all these these, I call them the 2-party system in America, the dumbo-craps and the repulsive-kins. And the repulsive-kins are coming after the dumbo-craps in the presidential reality show, condemning socialism.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't have capitalism in this country anymore. It's corporatism.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about bailing out the banks, in capitalism, there's no such thing as too big to fail.
Yeah. So you're so spot on here.
So they're going to bail them out because it's corporatism.
Yeah, well, of course. Should anybody be surprised by this?
Right. So when people are saying, watch Deutsche Bank, it's important to watch. But I don't think it's going to be a Lehman Brothers at this point. Maybe something else, but not them.
Good bank, bad bank. Well, if you remember the late great economist Harry Brown, he used to call government the accommodating loser, because any other party in a market seeks to avoid losses at all possible costs. Losses are the worst thing in the world. The government, on the other hand, can't get enough losses, and they take them from any source as long as you're one of the connected in party, the people who are the movers and the shakers. They'll take any of your losses, and they're very happy to. And that's what a big part of what is wrong with crony capitalism, with what we have, what passes for capitalism, but could not be further from what capitalism is.
Yeah, and now it's moving even more toward fascism. When you see the military taking over our lives in every different way.
Yeah. Oh, it's totally true. Well, yeah, my feeling is the bailouts, we'll just go to a new phase of bailouts, but the bailouts are, the next phase is really just getting started, and we'll start to see them happen, because too big to fail, it's become a mantra for crony capitalism. And, the other thing, dollar reserve currency, nobody trusts the world's banks. They certainly don't trust our banks, but they distrust American banks less than European banks, I think, is the key. And I guess we're just going to see more outflow from Europe and Asia too into American banks, more flow of funds coming to the U.S. from these countries, right?
At some point, yeah. If things get really bad, they go. That's why, you got negative yields on the treasuries, the 10-year. People are putting this money in for safe haven. A lot of people are very concerned of what's going on. I believe we're going to go into the Greatest Depression.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's going to happen in 2021.
Right.
Because they're going to prop up the economy now. Trump doesn't want to get out of power.
No.
And, Trump's major investments in life are in real estate. And he wants that real estate market to stay high. So they're going to keep pressuring the Fed to keep lowering interest rates. I think you're going to see interest rates back to near zero interest rate policy by the time the Great Depression hits.
I agree. I agree.
Or the Greatest Depression, I should say.
Yep, the Greatest Depression. You've been calling it that for years now, Gerald, and it looks like it's all going to come to pass. And can't say we're surprised, the timing of it all. Hey, one thing I want to cover, and try not to use too many expletives. We are a family show here, but Jeffrey Epstein, what the heck is going on there? What's the real story? I don't believe they woke up one day and say, this guy should be in jail. Let's go arrest Epstein. There's more to it. There's some kind of behind the scenes give and take happening here that most of us don't really understand.
Well, now they're even putting him with Ehud Barak, the guy that's running for Prime Minister of Israel.
Correct. Yeah, but he didn't see any girls when he was there on Pedo Island, right?
Yeah. So, it's, and then you got the Clintons involved in this. Bill Clinton was, how many times was he on his plane?
27 flights.
So, but what it really is, to me, it's a symbol of the sickness of the government. And if we were to go through the government at so many different levels around so many different countries, you would see this going on in different kinds of ways. Not, the sickness of this Einstein or Einstein. Excuse me, Mr.
He was no Einstein.
Please forgive me. I don't want to.
Freudian slip there, but he was
this Eisen freak, I should say.
Epstein.
Yeah.
Yes. Jeffrey Epstein.
Piece of garbage, man. But anyway, if he's guilty, I don't want to get sued. So
he's guilty. You're not. He already pleaded guilty to it once.
That's right.
He's not defamable, as we used to say. He's non-slanderable. You cannot slander this guy because everything that's been said about him already, it'll be said again. He's pure evil. And is there a backstory here, though, of
I don't know. I don't know. You know where I think is an important backstory? There was a blackout in New York.
Yes.
And when it was on the anniversary of the 1977 blackout.
Yeah, a little bizarre there.
The New World Wars, I've been writing about this for years. These aircraft carriers and this is World War I for the 21st century.
Right.
Suppose the United States is screwing with a lot of countries. By the way, going back to this pedophile stuff, there's criminality throughout governments.
Yes.
In all different kinds of ways, whether it's starting wars to enrich the military-industrial complex or the sickness of an individual's mind, whatever it might be, it's going on. Look, in our Trends Journal, we went around the world and looked at some of the things. We couldn't go too far because it would have been the whole Trends Journal. You got Yemen, you got Sudan. Take a look at what's going on in the Congo. How about Argentina? Lovely day in Brazil. Are they back in recession yet? Let's take a trip over to Algeria. Oh, look at the French. Wasn't it wonderful? Bastille Day, Independence Day, them shooting pepper spray and rubber bullets or whatever at the protesters. I mean, it's all over the world. Yes. When are people going to grow up and say, I don't want people running my life?
Yeah.
I could decide it for me. How could anyone look up to a politician?
I can't imagine. And
they do it all the time, and they argue which one's better. So going back to what's going on in the world and the greatest depression coming up, and the war drums beating now in the Middle East, aiming toward Iran. There are so many things out there that could change this in just a flash. So what I'm saying now to our subscribers, and again, you're seeing why so many people are going into negative yields for bonds because they want safe haven. This is a time to prepare, prevail, and prosper. It is a time for me for guns, gold, and a getaway plan. And I don't say that. I'm going back to how I began this about the blackout. Could you imagine if New York City, San Francisco, L.A., Chicago, Atlanta, and Miami blacked out at one time.
Oh, my goodness.
Look at the BS crap infrastructure system that we have. It doesn't take a genius to bring it down. And these countries, I mentioned Iran and others, that the United States is going after, Venezuela, whatever. You know, we used to say in the Bronx, payback's a bitch. You want to screw with me? I'm not going to sit here and take it. The next war is going to be this kind of war. It's going to be a cyber war. It's going to be a blackout war. It's going to be a nuclear power plant going up.
Yeah.
That's what it's going. It's going to be chemical warfare at levels we've never seen before, biological warfare. That if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to bring the system down.
Hey.
And I believe what happened, and when you're talking about, you know, this is odd with this guy going on, I think there's something big going on, and this was in and out of the news in one day. What are the odds that there's going to be a blackout in New York City on the anniversary of the big blackout in 1977? Tell me the odds.
Yeah, they're pretty between slim and none. Hey, one other thing. Increased seismic activity throughout the world. 2 major quakes in California, biggest ones in 20 years. But what was interesting is the first quake, they hit the same place, 6.4. The second one, 7.1. So it was a foreshock, the 6.4, not an aftershock. Don't usually see the quakes gaining in intensity after the first one. Usually they're aftershocks. California is looking very precarious, isn't it?
Well, do you know where the shock hit the hardest?
That naval base, I think.
Oh, yeah, the naval base, you think?
Yeah.
Oh, that big naval base.
Right.
Oh, naval base in the desert?
Yeah, what's it doing there?
Yeah, right, with all the other agencies there?
Right.
Thousands of people there?
I know.
Yeah.
Pretty remarkable.
Yeah, oh, what a coincidence, huh?
Do you think this was somehow triggered?
I'm just saying, what a coincidence. What I'm saying is guns, gold, and a getaway plan. Too many things are happening. And people, I say to people, if you prepare for the worst and the worst doesn't happen, you've lost nothing. If you prepare for the worst and the worst doesn't happen, you lost nothing.
Yeah.
The worst happens and you don't prepare for it, you lose everything.
That's correct. I couldn't agree with you more. It's just practical stuff. And that's
you have nothing to lose.
Hey.
You lock your door at night, right?
Yep, exactly.
I mean, so you take the measures now to prepare if the worst happens. And are you going to keep your gold in a safety deposit box?
Not a good idea.
Well, didn't they have a thing where they called in all the gold in 1933? What would happen with that?
Yeah.
Gee, you know, they wouldn't do that again, would they?
Never.
No. America, the land of the free, the land of the freaks that are running us.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. Again, I'm not a Democrat. I should say a dumbo-crap. Yeah. I'm not a repulsive kin. Yeah. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a liberal. I am an American.
Yes.
I am 100% American. I live by the teachings of the founding fathers and the documents that they created, like the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And I don't need a clown to interpret it for me. That gets dressed up like a judge.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with you 100%. Anyway, interesting times ahead, Gerald. So just tell us the latest offering for Trends Journal.
Trendsjournal.com, trendsjournal.com, the only magazine in the world you'll read history before it happens. The facts are there. And by the way, quickly, our trend forecast for gold, it has to break over that 1450 mark. We think it's solid where it is, considering it's over the 1385 mark, which was our breakout point to get to the 1450 mark. When it hits the 1450 an ounce mark, we think it's going to find great strength toward 2000.
It's Katie, bar the doors. At that point, couldn't agree with you more. Hey, questions for Gerald, myself, email is kl@kerrylutz.com. The Twitter feed's at Kerry Lutz. The Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. Gerald, it's always great to have you on the show, and we will talk to you again real soon.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for all that you do.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.